Hey everyone, I have not done a parent meeting in years, and I still won't. I think everyone has a lot better things to do on a weeknight than come and listen to me talk about wrestling policies. But I did want to do a form of a video parent meeting. So I'm going to record this tonight and go over just a couple of basic things for season that you might have questions about. First and foremost, if you have not seen the document that is pinned to the top of our parent GroupMe chat, that covers an enormous amount of information. Thank you to Jen and Haley for putting that together and working on that. If you have any questions as we're starting season, as we hit season, there are so many things in that document that you can check for answers. But just a couple of things that I want to cover as we're getting ready to start on Monday. One, practice schedule. We have had the same practice schedule for, I believe, 4 years now, and it's worked really well. So how it will look is on A days, we go before school from 5:45 to about 7:10. I know that we end up kind of getting close-ish to when the boys need to go to school, and I try and make sure that they're out so that they're not late. A couple of things with that, if you can make sure, and with everything that I'll say tonight, I try to make the boys be as reliant as possible for all this information. So I'm giving you all the information, but at the end of the day, I want these boys to learn how to be grown-ups, how to be adults, and how to handle this information on their own. So of course I'm sending it to you as the parents, but let's try and put the ball in the boys' court and make sure that they can handle all this as well. But we'll go from about 5:45 to 7:10 on A days. Please make sure that they are packed and ready to go to school. They've got food to eat afterwards. I'll talk about hygiene with that in a few minutes and making sure that they're on time to class. But that will be A days. We go before school. On B days, we start at 1 o'clock and we go until about 3 o'clock. I typically don't go past 3:15. I know that you have a lot of things going on. The boys have a lot of things going on. I want to respect their time and your time. So unless I tell you, I message it out, plan on 3:15 at the very latest for those B-day practices. This schedule has worked really, really well for us the last couple of years. I know that getting up is a sacrifice. I know it's hard, but I really like the fact that we give the boys back a lot of their day on that A day, and they're not trapped inside till 6 p.m. and never seeing the sun on those days. I think it's really good for their mental health. I think it's good for so many aspects of their life. Again, I know it's hard to get up, and I'll spend a lot of time talking to the boys about importance of sleep and just staying on top of that to make sure that it's doable. Because if they're staying up till midnight and then we're asking them to get up at 5, that's not feasible. But if they're going to bed at 8 or 8:30 and we're asking them to get up at 5, it's very realistic and it's great. So if you have questions about schedule, let me know. But we've loved it. Again, it's hard, but I think most of the boys end up liking it a lot too. One other thing to cover is hygiene. Last season, we had more skin disease than we've had in a long time. And we mop our mats religiously between the custodians doing it in the night and then either me or someone else doing it the day. It's usually getting mopped twice a day. But if the boys are not showering, it really doesn't do any good. And for some reason last year, we had a whole bunch of boys that were afraid of showering in the school locker room. And so we'd have kids that were pushing off the shower time and waiting till they got home. And that's really what causes the skin diseases. If they're on the mats and there is any sort of funk that is going to get on them, it's waiting. If they're sitting there for 20, 30, 60 minutes after practice before they're showering, they're going to end up getting something. But if they are religiously heading to the locker room and showering right after practice, both morning practice and afternoon practice, they really get nothing. I mean, I haven't had skin disease in probably 8 or 9 years, and I spend just as much time on the mats as the boys do. So if you can please encourage them to use the school locker room. I don't care if they wear underwear or a swimming suit or if they're comfortable being naked in there, but they need to be showering in that facility. It makes it so much easier. We have a lot of conversations with them about appropriate locker room behavior, so there's never any sort of hazing. And the kids are good; they're great. So I don't feel like we really ever have any locker room issues. But if you can encourage them, and that goes back to being prepared for class on those A-day mornings. If they are not prepared and showering at the school, they are going to be late to first period. But if they are prepared and they can shower at the school, they're never late, especially the freshmen, where they need to be showering and then taking off to the junior highs. So hygiene. And we talked to the boys a lot about what that looks like. We want them using antibacterial bar soap. It's super affordable. It's like the cheapest version. If they're using liquid soap, and like a loofah, or just liquid soap, that's even worse by itself. They're definitely not covering all of their skin. With that bar soap, they're able to actually get everywhere on their body. We had a whole conversation with them last week at practice about making sure that they're cleaning their scalp line, like their hairline really well, their neck, their back, the back of their legs, areas that they may typically miss. And, if they will do 2 lathers of soap, turn the water really hot while they're in the shower, they should have 0 issues through the season. So that covers schedule, hygiene. On the GroupMe chat, as far as GroupMe etiquette goes, the chat is primarily for me to get information out to you. I never wanted it to turn into something where there's just a lot of chatter happening or it's kind of getting off topic, because the more that chat gets bogged down, the more confusion we have because my messages end up getting pushed up and that pertinent information that we need is not readily available. And then we have people repeating questions when that information has already been sent out. So please make sure that you are not bogging down that chat. Unless it is pertinent for the entire group, please don't send it in there. Like if for some reason your kid's going to miss a practice, do not send that in the GroupMe. Don't be sending out articles or I don't know. There's lots of things that could be sent out. Please just keep that chat for information strictly. If there's a question that you need answered and you don't know where else to go, probably appropriate. But again, just use your best discretion with that chat. And we do have 2 chats. We have the parent GroupMe chat and we have the boys GroupMe chat, kind of going back to the same thing. I treat the boys as if I don't give you the information because I want them to be responsible and liable for having that information. And, I want them to act like adults, when I tell them times or dates or other information, like I expect them to be mature about it and handle it. Then, of course, I also send it to you so you know what's going on as well. So I am very good about sending out schedule every single Sunday. So watch that on Sunday afternoons. I'll get that out. I'm pretty detailed about when your kids need to be there, when things end, times on things. So just watch that every single Sunday. As far as attendance, we are very, very strict with attendance. We kind of have a 3-strike policy that we go off of. And if your kid ends up hitting 3 practices where there was no communication, should not have missed, we find out they were missing for just hanging out, whatever, etc. They do get dismissed from the team. We haven't had to do that in a number of years. Team culture is usually really, really good with it. So, as far as good reasons to miss, we understand if there are weddings or funerals or a child is home puking, some sort of sickness that we don't want spread through the team, like that is understandable. But, if it's just they wanted to hang out with friends or a friend had a birthday party or something along those lines, like we don't consider that a big enough reason to miss practice. Like we want them there. We want them consistent and learning that, this is important and stay disciplined. If for some reason your child is going to miss, like I said, please don't post that in the GroupMe. You can text that to me, but don't expect a response. Like once we hit season, we have nearly 300 kids in our youth program. We're pushing 25 coaches and, we're 50 plus in the high school. So the amount of communication that I end up getting during season ends up being really, really overwhelming. And so I appreciate you letting me know, telling me that your kid's not going to be there for, someone is sick that day or whatever's going on, but just don't expect a response. So send it, don't expect a response. Kind of on that same vein, if you have a question, again, go back to the parent manual, see if it's in there, like before texting me. Just because I do get pretty bogged down and it gets pretty overwhelming during season. So if there's a way that you can avoid just firing off a text, please try that. Other important things, Register My Athlete does need to be completed before Monday. We've got to have that information in. Just most of it is for liability's sake, making sure that the kids are covered, the coaches are covered, and no one's being put at risk, and that the kids are healthy and ready to go, with that physical. As far as fees do need to be paid ASAP. In the past, I haven't really put a deadline on it because I know that sometimes things are hard. People need a little bit of leniency. They've really kind of cracked down and said that fees have to be paid before the first competition or the kid is not allowed to compete. So for us, I got to go look at the calendar and see what day Duels Against Cancer is, but end of November, that Tuesday before Thanksgiving, is our first meet. So we do need to get fees in before that. If there's some extreme extenuating circumstance, again, reach out. But yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of things that I'm missing, things that you'll still have questions about and can cover. And if there are, again, check that manual or let me know. But those are some of the most important things, and we are really excited for Monday. So excited to get going.